Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming along. I've got a tremendously exciting video. I've been collaborating with the cellist Alice Allen on this ballet project, and I'm going to show you how I went from this really simple mock-up to this final product with Alice's astounding cello playing on it. This video is going to be in a few parts. I'm going to start off talking about the mock-up and then go on to how I created the actual performance materials for Alice, how I created the score that she ended up reading from. And then Alice sends me back all her incredible performances and recordings. And then I will start integrating them into the score. And then I'm going to finish off the video by actually mixing it properly and creating the kind of final product for this ballet project. I had a lot of fun making this video and making this piece and collaborating with Alice. Please do subscribe if you enjoy this video and let me know if you have any comments down below. Otherwise, let's get into this video. This is the mock-up that I created for Ballet Black. So for this, I'm using BBC Symphony Orchestra, the leader positions to create a string quartet, East-West Steinway piano for the piano, obviously, and then some Omnisphere pads as well, and some Trillion as well for the bass. But that's essentially all that's going on here. And what I need to do now that the mock-up is finished and kind of approved is to send it to Alice, who's the cellist who's going to be working on this piece. And I'm going to talk you through how I have prepared the performance materials for Alice and you know, how I kind of approach working with a live musician in this setting. So the first thing we do is export the MIDI of the part that I want recorded, and Alice the cellist, so obviously it's going to be these two cello parts. So I'm going to export them now and show you what we end up with. So when you export the MIDI of the cello part, this is what you end up with in Sibelius. It's got like 20% of the information that a performer would need to actually be able to perform, in that it has no articulation, no dynamics, no shape, and basically is just the notes with nothing else at all. So my job just now is to turn this into proper performance material, something which Alice can understand. Because if I give this to a musician just now, it poses more questions than it answers. What's slurred? What's your phrasing? What's your dynamic shape? There's so many things that I need to answer in this process. I will do a more in-depth geeky video about this. I'm going to film it also, ask for it if you're interested, but I'm going to skip forward to the kind of final product and talk you through what my process was, because I think that'll be a wee bit quicker and easier to show. So this is the final score, which I am going to send to Alice for her to record. And if I compare it to what we had before, this is 130 odd bars of absolute nonsense, which makes no sense. And now hopefully what I've done here is make it into something which a musician can really understand and be able to do something musical with. So I'll talk you through what I've done very, very quickly. So here I made the decision that these notes would fit really nicely as natural harmonics, and these all fit well on the cello for that. This is obviously quite a high cello part. This is all in treble clef. I love using the cello in the high register. I don't think I use bass clef at all in this project, but it has that sort of yearning, beautiful, soaring, searing kind of quality to it. Which is why I really want the cello to play these high notes and not the violin or the viola. I think kind of taking an instrument to its extreme is actually a really powerful thing. And that's what I'm doing in this piece here, which is why the cello is playing extremely high. It's a beautiful sound. So we've got some natural harmonics, which actually if I go to the original cue and just play this, you can hear that actually does sound like harmonics. I actually just took the vibrato away when I was automating it, so it does kind of sound like natural harmonics. So that's the decision that I made at this point here, is that I want really open natural harmonic sound here. I got rid of the harmonics here because this F doesn't work as a natural harmonic, so I wanted that phrase to sound consistent. Then back to the harmonic sign again. You see, I'm just adding some shape as well with the dynamics, just little crescendos and decrescendos, just showing the kind of the overall shape of the phrase that I want Alice to play. And then this kind of first version is quite kind of simple, just very legato, very plain, with a little swell in bar 3 and a diminuendo in bar 4, and that's all absolutely fine. And then same in part B. But I missed this. But it's actually really critical that Alice knows this, because there's so many different ways of performing it. And then we get to this build up. Of course, in the original version, around about bar 80, which is here, it doesn't say anything about this big moment here at all. It doesn't give a single clue about what should be happening. That's what I had to kind of do. And then we come to this melody here at figure D, legatissimo strident 40. Very kind of important that I give these words to the performers, so that they can really know the intensity that they should be playing with at this moment here. And then a few kind of legato lines just to show that it really is very smooth but powerful. Bit of some dynamics as well. And then a return to the ostinato but marcato this time, staccato, and then building up to a big triple 40 at the end. This is not all I'm going to send to Alice. I'm going to actually send her a couple of alternate versions for her to record as well. So this is another version that I'm going to send to Alice. And what you can see here, I hope, is that it's the same ostinato that comes here, but I've asked for a couple of different versions with different articulations. We've done another staccato one, and it ends slightly differently. It doesn't end loud, it ends more quietly. And in version 2, we've got slightly different articulations and dynamics. And this is a really useful thing to do when you're working with a live player in a project like this, because it might still come that the production team come back and say, Tom, we need like 8 more bars to come in at the end of this phrase or something like that, or we need to extend something. And to have these alternates, these versions kind of ready to go are extremely useful things to just be kind of prepared to do. And also it might come that when I actually start stitching the recordings together, that actually I prefer this version 2 than what we already have. For E, for example, I might find that it's more interesting and actually end up using this instead of what I have figure E. But it just gives me slightly more options to be able to really have a lot more control and a lot more options over what this is going to be. Now I'm going to send this all off to Alice, and I'm going to show you the deliverables that Alice is going to get, exactly how I'm going to send it to her, and kind of what a musician sort of would expect from a composer to receive when recording in a project like this. So the first thing that I've done in kind of preparing to send materials for Alice to record is print down all the stems of the music, because I'm assuming that Alice probably doesn't have Spitfire BBC Symphony Orchestra Pro. She probably doesn't have East-West Steinway piano, and she almost certainly won't have Omnisphere or Trillion. So I need to bounce all these down into their individual stems, so that when Alice opens this logic file, she can literally just play each of these tracks without having to worry about what instrument is actually playing it. So you'll see that I've bounced down the strings, the pianos, the synths, then the whole mix as well, just in case you're interested in just hearing what the mock-up should sound like, and then critically the click as a separate track, so she can route that to her headphones and have control over that. So this is a super important part of delivering material to performers. When I send it to Alice, I actually deactivate all the VSTs, and I just will send it with only the prints, the WAV files activated, so Alice can just open up the files and then just start working with it in this way. So this is the folder with the files that I'll send to Alice, with all the materials that she should need for this. So we've got the logic file, we've got the solo cello part as a PDF, so it's easy for her to open, and then the alternate version as well. So I'm going to send this off to Alice just now, and then the next part of this video is going to be me looking at these stems that Alice will send, and kind of working out what to do with them. So it's a few days later, and Alice has now done a really quick turnaround on this recording and has delivered the stems. And this, for me, is the most exciting part of being a composer, because I can now hear the music kind of come to life and hear what Alice has done to my music. She sent a note alongside with the recordings, stems for the argument, around all afternoon, etc. And she's given different versions, which is fantastic. She says a little bit about room mic and DPA, which is great, really fantastic microphones to use. And then she's telling me about the different versions that she's done. She did version 3, which she thinks is the right version. We'll listen and see later on. And then she's done different versions, which I was not expecting. Wildcard versions where she's playing close to the bridge and adding some uglier sounds as well, which I hadn't thought about at all. But actually having that colour in my arm rate is extremely useful. And I think when I come to kind of put this together, I think I will need something like that. I think that's exactly the kind of sound which I wish I'd thought of. But I'm so delighted that Alice has. This is where the music becomes something much more special, by having this kind of collaborative process with someone like Alice. This is where the music really kind of becomes not just dots and MIDI, but actually something which is using kind of Alice's amazing musicality, with my kind of mediocre music, and Alice is turning it into something much more special. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is go and do a kind of like a listening session to these, make some notes and kind of patch things together and start kind of comping things, and I'll talk you through that process. But I'm so excited by what Alice has sent. Okay, so we're on to the next very exciting stage of this process, where I've now imported all of Alice's takes into the logic file. I've set a kind of general level of the DPA, the close mic being -6 and the room mic being 0. We'll obviously change that later on. And I've put everything into groups as well, so that if I make a change to one cello part, to one take, the change happens in both microphones. So that just makes it much easier to be able to edit this properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and listen to this kind of section by section. We're going to start where Alice first comes in, and then make some decisions about which take to actually do. Let's just start with take 1. And then take 2. So I think what I'm going to use is the opening part of take 1. And maybe the second part of take 2. And let's just try the alternate version. I might prefer that actually. I think that might be the one. Let's just double check them. Don't want this one. Yeah, I think we're going to stick with take one for that part. Okay, let's move on. This is where Alice has done some different versions, so take one. She is a tremendous cello player, so that was take one. But take two, down the octave with more kind of sul ponticello sounds. So as a composer, that is just such a fantastic thing to have. That Alice has improvised and decided, oh, how about this as an option? This, I think, will go with your track, which I never thought of. I never thought of it being something useful at all. It didn't even cross my mind, but because Alice is such an amazing musician and cellist and performer and improviser and all-around incredible musician, she gave to this project in such a fantastic way and has given me different options and different colours, which I hadn't thought of. She is helping me compose the piece in a really great way. And it means that I can maybe blend these two options together, which I'm going to do now, between the one which is down the octave and more sul ponticello and the one which I wrote, which sounds kind of boring compared to what she actually did in the second option. So this is why I love working with musicians. It's such a joy, such a privilege. And what I'm going to do is take this alternate version, which we spoke about before in the score, and move it underneath. I think that's going to be a nice place for it. Let's see. That is essentially all the kind of editing and the comping finished. And now it's time to mix this track. So I would normally convert these down into WAV files, but it's such a small project that it's hardly worth it for this. Such a short piece, such a small project, and my Mac Studio just handles it, no problem at all. So what I need to go through is turn off and delete all the reverbs, so I'm starting completely fresh. When I was making this mock-up, I had to do it very quickly, so I just kind of put some placeholder reverbs in place, but now I need to go through and make some more decisions about actually how this is gonna sound. So I'm going to go through, turn off all the reverbs, turn off all those sends, and really start this from as kind of a fresh a point as possible. I'm going to work through section by section. And now the cello comes in for the first time. Do some panning. So hang on, there's the original cello part. And then Alice. So much better. I think I'm going to make some mixed decisions now about the mix between the close mic and the faraway mic in the cello. I'm just going to turn off the volume mode. I can just take away the... That's just room mic alone. Pretty much. And then if I want to add a bit of definition to it, I think we're going to have a much more distant mix. That just sits a little bit nicer, I'd say. A bit more distant. We just got piano on its own. Okay, let's get this right. I think this can just come up a tiny bit. It's time for some EQ. So we're going to start with the cello. We're actually just going to do each mic at a time. I'm going to roll off some lows for just now. Very nice signal. I'm just going to copy that into all the other DPA mics. Okay, let's add some reverb to this now. Okay, what I'm using for close reflection is Oxford Reverb. I have a close verb set up there. And then for the late reflections, we're going to have Altiverb. And one that I love to use, I know that Jake Jackson in a very famous video uses Mechanics Hall. Okay, so verb 1. And verb 2, the Altiverb, Mechanics Hall. Gorgeous space. And it's always a good idea to just EQ reverbs before and after. Roll off a bit of highs and lows. Now that's sounding really nice. Okay, let's do some little bit of EQ on these. I'm going to use the same reverbs. Let's do a bit of EQ on the pianos. This is where a lot of the information of the strings and the cello are, so I'm just going to duck a little bit of that. Add a bit of brightness to it. And again on the synths, a slightly shorter pre-delay on it. So again, it's the same space, but different attack to it. What we're going to do first off is just scoop out a lot of the mids. Just a few decibels, again to get out the way of the cello. Scoop out some very, very lows. Or below 30-ish. Maybe not as steep as that. Get rid of some of that real sub. Make that as well. A lot of information around about there. Maybe just gonna make it a little bit brighter as well. Let's get some reverb in there as well. This reverb we're definitely going to have to treat quite significantly. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit of compression to the cello just to balance out a tiny, tiny bit. Very, very subtle, like 3-to-1. Fast attack, fairly slow. I'm going to use this aux inflator on the cello a little bit. Okay, I'm caught up with that bit. We just need to EQ out some of the frequencies in this, particularly where the cello is really one thing that I like to use on instruments which are mono is Panagement, and just to add a little sense of kind of natural left and right, because when musicians play, they very slightly obviously move left and right, which is something which we can kind of emulate in this this plugin. When I play this in solo, it has this natural kind of very gentle left and right. Okay, so now it's time to do my mix bus. Now that we've kind of basically got the mix kind of there, we just need to glue the mix together, do a little bit of kind of EQ on it, and just get it ready to send off. Then I'm going to start off with an EQ. Let's go to the louder part of the track. We're just tidying up a little bit. I'm going straight into an SSL. Low attack, fast release, 2:1 ratio. Adding a little tiny bit of distortion. Put an inflator on everything. We're going to run it through another compressor. near that Panagement really just helps give it a little bit more of a three-dimensional space, which really helps. There you go. That is the complete process of moving from a mock-up, giving it to a live performer, and then integrating it into said mock-up and creating the much more final piece. I really hope you found that interesting, and I hope that this insight into my process was kind of useful to you guys, and I hope that at some point you all get the chance to work with someone like Alice, who's an incredible musician and really brought this track to life, and yeah, a real privilege to have her involved in this. So thank you so much for coming along on this journey. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any comments or queries about my process or whatever you've seen in this video, do subscribe if you get the chance to. That would really help us out. Otherwise, see you next time. So after finishing the mix, I went away and listened to it a couple of times in different environments, and using my monitors, which I can't use while I'm filming because it just comes through these my vocal mic too much, and you get a big feedback loop. So I listened to it in different settings on different speakers, and discovered that the cello just wasn't quite sitting in the mix as it should. The synths and the piano and the string quartet, basically the accompanying instruments, were getting in the way too much. So my solution to this was to use some sidechain technique with Pro Q3 and Pro MB. Now basically what I've done here is I've sidechained each of these plugins to bus 13, which is the cello bus, and this means that every time that the cello plays within these frequencies get subtly ducked in the string quartet, in the piano, and in the synths. So it allows the cello's frequencies in this range to just come through a little bit more. You'll notice that I'm not actually reducing the level. They're just being reduced when the sidechain from bus 13, the cello tries to play in these frequencies. I'll show you how to set this up now if you're interested. So if you wanted to add a Pro Q3, open up a fresh one. I'm going to sidechain it to 13 is the cello, and now we're going to create a new bell on the EQ, and we're going to set it up as a dynamic EQ. Now if we press this auto button here, we'll see that there's this little button here which activates the sidechain mode, and this now means that the EQ is listening to bus 13, to the signal that comes through there. So if I start playing, you can see the red is where the cello is coming through. And if I bring the threshold down a bit, we can see that it begins to activate and begins to duck just in that frequency when it hears that frequency come through. That's what I did on all the different buses, on the quartet, on the piano, and on the synths. And also, what I'm doing is slightly compressing, and using Pro MB, the multiband compressor, the same frequencies to allow the cello to come through. So again, it's sidechained to bus 13. And then if you set this to external sidechain, and then I've got it set so it just compresses, you can see the frequencies coming through. But if we go to a louder bit, it's more obvious. You can see that it's just compressing those frequencies a little bit. And this just allows the cello just to sit within the mix a little bit. It's not being as kind of overwhelmed by the other instruments, which exist so much within the same frequency as the cello. So that was the decision that I made after filming this. I hope you found that useful. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.